It looks like our game has started. Foxtrot Labs, map number 2, Jjakji leading 1-0. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into that game and realize that it's bottom left against top right.
Yeah, so these are going to give us a little bit closer to the more normal spawns, but you still have to worry about things like those rocks at your natural for mid-game tank pushes can still be really tricky to deal with. But yeah, we're going into this. Top right, not a bad position to be in, opening up 1-0 against the BlizzCon finalist. And looking pretty strong in this tournament. From Team My Insanity, he is Jjakji. He put up a pretty good fight this tournament so far. This guy, though, he's kind of the person that you expect to win when you look at how their results have been in the last few months.
Yeah, yeah.
It's from Team Acer, he is MMA.
He definitely has had the results in the past few months. He's been playing just out of his mind. It's been fantastic to see the resurgence of MMA. Such a, early StarCraft 2 favorite. Definitely one of the first best Terrans in the world.
Yeah, been around for a very long time in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, he was one of the few people that could actually challenge MVP, the early game King of Wings. But Jjakji, coming a lot later. A lot of people have called him the forgotten GSL champ. I certainly don't forget, though. It was a fantastic GSL. Like, when he won that GSL, I felt like he was levels above everyone else at the time. It was insane.
It was a while ago. That was even before my time in StarCraft 2. These builds, though, a little bit interesting. So we have a deviation from the gas first, and this map, it's actually not quite so bad for holding off. Like, you have that lip at the bottom of your base, but it's all about getting near the other Terran players' production. So the gas first, you're not as forced into it on this map as you would be on some others. It's a delayed gas from Jjakji. It's a Reaper opening from MMA. I don't think that there's anything too crazy. The only thing that gets really weird is if this Marine, for example, gets caught by a Reaper, or if MMA opens 2 Reaper, getting a reactor after the 2 Marines is the most common follow-up. So Jjakji could lose his Marines early on and things get a little bit weird, but that doesn't happen super often. Yeah,
it looks like he was just scouting out that natural. He's gone back over the ramp. The second Marine is there, so shouldn't happen. But we do have the double Reaper here from MMA. So definitely a very much different build here.
In a very weird way, like, there have been games that have ended because this first Reaper, like, takes half the health off of one Marine or, takes a shot at each one. Yeah. The second Reaper shows up, they kill the first weakened Marine instantly, and then it's just, 1v2, and you pull off whichever Reaper is low on health. This Marine positioning is kind of interesting, though. It's like normally you'd think you'd catch a Reaper, but actually he's just further away for defending.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Going to definitely lose this SCV, it looks like. Another SCV coming out to continue building, but Marine's going to come up and force this Reaper back for now.
Yeah, dealing with the Reaper when you go for this opening in TVT is actually quite problematic. Reapers are one of the reasons why Terrans will sometimes just get that factory and delay the reactor a little bit so that you can get a 3rd or 4th Marine out and just spread around your base. But he has taken a few shots and he's taken as many as he can. I think MMA recognizes that there's sometimes that chance, but the next 2 Marines come out in time, so you really shouldn't be able to get much more. However, I actually think maybe he was just trying to bait him down on the bottom side of his base so we could kill that SCV again.
Well, it doesn't quite kill it. It is getting a little bit low on health, but he damages the Marines a little bit more there. And doesn't look like he gets to do any of these huge game-swinging moves that you were talking about before that we can see in these mirror matchups.
Yeah, that's like the you really have to screw up to lose on that. Usually if your Marines go out on the map. But, both of these builds still kind of line up the same way. They're going for starports. They both have their factories. They're both building 2 Hellions at a time. They just took different paths to getting there. And yeah, it kind of feels weird that neither player either really has an advantage because one of them delayed when they took their gas and the other one just spent their gas on units that weren't tech early on. So I think it's still pretty even. Looks like it's going to be Banshee versus a Hellion drop, and at this point it just comes down to how you react, what you leave at home, walls, things like that.
Well, right now MMA is going to go ahead and get Cloak as well with this. That could end up helping out quite a bit. Jjakji, on the other hand, just now getting his 2nd gas.
I'd really like to see Jjakji go for lift up all his Marines in the medevac that comes out, and then just move those over with all of his Hellions. And it's kind of like the build that MMA did to kill Pult yesterday, but it's just off 2 bases. And he's loading up the medevac. He'll have a few more Hellions than you normally would. And this is actually quite tricky to deal with because instead of those 8 Marines, he has the 2 Reapers. And in a head-to-head fight, Reapers kind of suck versus everything.
Yeah, that is true. They're okay against other Reapers or SCVs, I would say. Yeah.
Sometimes. And the Hellion production back home defends one of the Reapers. And I think for Jjakji, the less units that are here, as the guy that wants to get aggressive, he's actually just going to elevate her over this too. And as you can see, MMA, he's totally not expecting this.
Completely out of position at the moment. And this is going to be brutal. The Banshee's so far away, it's going to take a long time to get back in help.
Banshee's going on a trip. Terran's going to be like, come home, please, in the next minute or so as those Marines, Hellions instantly die. These forces come down the ramp, but these Marines, they can be really good.
Oh, he's going to split them a little bit more there, taking a lot of splash damage indeed, but some good Hellion micro here from Jjakji, taking out the Hellions, and kills that last one as well. A huge attack from Jjakji.
Yeah, this is quite nice. The Banshee has arrived inside of Jjakji's base, though, as these Marines continue to pound away at the natural expansion, and it's tricky. So his next Banshee comes out. This can help defend, but you can just wait out the cloak or move away. The Banshee in Jjakji's base has only killed a single SCV so far. He's going to get him a few Marines, but that's it. He had missile turrets, he had a scan, and he had a Viking ready.
Well, that hurts quite a bit. Already a 12 supply lead here for Jjakji. MMA continuing to make these Cloak Banshees, though. About how much more damage do you think he needs to do to feel like he's ahead in this game?
He would have needed to get quite a bit more. The tricky part is that even though he's not relying on a Raven, and you can try to, he has a limited number of scans, those missile turrets still going to give vision. Jjakji with this next drop is going to make things even more painful now. As 2 Hellions alone, he's going to have to bring all of his other forces back. It's not the worst thing that could have happened to him here, but he's also going to be able to continue to keep MMA from doing that damage like you just mentioned that he kind of needs to. He needs to find an opening. And this next Banshee coming down the right side, he has another one moving down the left. Like, he is looking for anything he could possibly get. Even delaying like the building barracks would be a pretty big win at this point.
Well, this Banshee going to come in, start picking off some SCVs. Still within vision range of this turret, but just outside of shooting range. So he will back up. Vikings trying to chase him down.
He's out of energy too, so.
Yeah. Well, they can get him, but the other Banshee is going towards the natural.
Yep, pulled him out of position a bit. This one's a little bit more well protected by the missile turret. He could probably just pick off the SCVs in the left mineral patch, so gets one dancing around, and Jjakji knows, okay, bring the Vikings back. And he'll go on the hunt for this one too. I don't quite think he has a scan ready, but things I'm really interested in, okay, no 3rd command center yet for Jjakji, and MMA has his about to finish up. So despite the early economic losses, this can help recover.
Definitely, and he's actually going mech as well. And this is like a much smaller map, a much harder map to drop on than, let's say, Catalina. So I feel like it's a better choice on this map, but I must admit, I am a bit surprised MMA continues to use the mech style when he's, just so experienced with bio play.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting because, and maybe one of the reasons why he busts it out is he just doesn't feel comfortable playing Marine Tank versus Jjakji. He's the kind of guy that he's played in many series before. Kind of guy that you'll run into on ladder quite a bit. I think Jjakji is one of those players that actually plays on their main account on ladder. They don't only barcode, so you kind of know when you're going up against him. And these Hellions being active out on the map are nice for MMA. He gets it's we can scout easily. I do like how fast he's getting the sensor tower though, and the other adjustment of getting that starport on a reactor much more quickly. Get Vikings out, prevent the drop play, because that's what killed you on the last map. This map is much easier to defend against those on.
It is the most important thing to do. If they're dropping in your main base, pulling you in different directions, they're going to pick off siege tanks so much easier, and that is really the lifeblood of the mech player. So I definitely do like the fact he's focusing heavily on that, adding some additional factories right now as well. I believe that's going to bring him up to 5 facts, right?
Yeah, he's doing this before even an armory too. So
I have to say I really like that. We've seen this occasionally, like way in the past in mechs in TVT with mech builds, and it just allows you to boost your supply up a bit more and be a bit more robust against aggressive play.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to mech, like, usually the tank upgrades are most effective in just tank versus tank, because against bio, if you have enough tanks, the upgrades are much less important than just the splash damage. So he's going to try to push in on this left side here. He has another force on the right. Only one tank really covering this command center as MMA finds himself caught out of position, and even losing Vikings, definitely a tough loss to take so far. Jjakji actually just kind of toying with them at this point. If you can't take that 3rd base as a mech player, you're kind of dead in the water.
Yeah, you really need to secure the 3rd. One of the most important things in mech, but here we go. Jjakji stimming in and going to take out more siege tanks. MMA GGing, and I got to tell you, Nathanius, this is a little bit one-sided so far. Jjakji is tearing into mech like he normally does, whereas MMA is Like, I'm not even sure why he had one siege tank out in front of his third. Like, that's not a good position.
Yeah.
It has no cover. One siege tank beats nothing.
Yeah, that's true. It was very easy for him to just walk in and kill him.
Yeah.
Like, if you have, it's as a meching player.
bomb.
Yeah, as a meching player, it's risky to do that where you like, well, okay, obviously you're worried about being hit from multiple directions, but that's why you have a sensor tower. That's why you put units out on the map. That's why you place your Vikings in strategic positions, not on top of your army. But you want to keep those tanks together. That's when tanks are most effective.